Welcome back to AI Noho Radio. This is Teddy on the mic with Rosario and Lee. Whoa. And my head still hurts. Snare.
Okay.
But moving on, it's interview time.
Interview time! Yay! So Lee is here, as we said. We all know it, right? He's our co-host.
That's right.
So Lee, I know you're working on a really, really cool project, and we want to hear all about it. But before that, I know that here you work in admissions, and I was telling you briefly before the show, I feel like the process that you go through when you see students that come here is very similar to what we go through when we go to an interview. So what are those things that stand out for you? You know, when you meet someone and you're like, okay, this person has what we're looking for. Because I think students can benefit from knowing that, you know, what things we can bring to the table that are going to impress someone.
Mm-hmm. One of the big things that I like to see, I do feel like robotic.
Whoa. You can turn the master down if you want. Just turn it all the way down.
Oh, there we go. Now I can hear myself. That's cool. One of the big things for me is definitely like the passion that someone has for what they're doing. I can't tell you how many times like I've seen students come in and they're kind of like, oh, I like this and I like that. And, you know, those students typically have a challenge because the school, as you guys know, it's not like, you know, come in, leave, and you're done. Like, there's a lot of work that goes into, like, perfecting your craft and perfecting your portfolio and really giving yourselves the opportunity to go out and do something great. Sorry, hit your mic. From an interview standpoint, though, definitely having a clear vision, doing the research and whatnot before you go in, knowing what you're getting into, so to speak, definitely leaves an impact. So if someone knows something about the Art Institutes or has a friend that's already in it, that's something that, for me, it's like, okay, you already know, like, the good, the bad, the ugly, with the school or with the job that you're looking at, and you can kind of have a little bit more of a real talk as opposed to, you know, HR type. Oh, so how will you benefit the company by joining this organization?
Yeah, definitely. And now you were talking about passion, and I agree. I think that's so important. But how can someone keep that passion throughout the whole degree? Because as you're saying, there's a lot of challenges to face. So how do we keep that? You know, what would you say to someone for that passion to just not go away through all the obstacles that they're going to find here?
Mm-hmm. For me, it's like seeing the different students as they kind of get away from their work and engage with each other and work with each other on different events. Like all of you guys that are in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like 13 of you in here. Like, that's awesome. And you guys all have like different backgrounds, different disciplines and whatnot. Yeah. Sometimes just seeing what other people do can help kind of inspire you and motivate you. Seeing the artwork and stuff around the school, sometimes you look at something and you're like, psst, I could kill that. Or, whoa, I need to step up my game. And I think networking as best you guys can to see what each other are doing. At least for me, it's something that I always see, you know, someone doing something better, something different. I want to jump in and try to like edge myself along. And that helps kind of stir up the fire for the things that I'm passionate about too.
And make friends with the people you see at school, because you never know, one day they may be like, you know, up there, and then you can be like, hey, you know, we used to be friends. We worked on projects together. Can you help me out? Can you give me an internship? You know, just always keep them in mind.
Yeah, and I've seen a bunch of things like we have a student, Christian Ferretti, who graduated 2009, 2010, something like that. But he's the menswear designer for Guess right now. He just bought his wife box seat tickets at the Adele show. You know, friends at Facebook, so keep the feed, keep in touch, you know?
Yeah.
But I've also seen, one of the big things he got out of the education is he had a good friend who does, out of the animation program, helped build one of his designs in like a 3D character. So then you could like zoom in, see the fabric, turn the character around, see the whole outfit kind of in circle as opposed to just like a flat picture. So something different, you know, you guys can find different ways to kind of invigorate each other or find like different ways of displaying your work. That's another thing that I really like about what we do here.
Yeah, and I think we're like in such a lucky position because all of our majors connect in one way or another. So working together and, like you're saying, kind of like benefiting from somebody else's skills, it makes for something, especially in the entertainment industry, right? So we can all help each other, I think, further our careers.
Right.
So I feel like that's very important. And then also you were talking about Facebook right now. What about social media? How does that play an element in someone's career?
I think there's definitely, with certain companies, there's definitely like a look to like followers and whatnot. So if you're trying to get into some kind of a marketing gig or something where you have a like a public facing, the more involved you are with not Instagram, but social media and whatnot, the better the chance that you're actually probably going to find different jobs. There's a ton of different connections that are out there. LinkedIn is like an app that a lot of people use for like the professional job side of things. Instagram, Twitter, I think it's Honeycomb or something, Periscope. There's a whole bunch of like different ways that you can get yourself out there. And again, depending on the major, it has a little bit more effect than others. But I have a lot of friends that are, actors, performers, singers, and they have to have like X number of followers for them to even be considered for getting hired for jobs and things like that. Yeah,
that's interesting to know. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for this little insight into admissions department. And now we want to know about your project. I know it's something super cool. We're talking about it briefly. So tell us everything about it.
So I moved out to California about 13 years ago, and it was about 2-3 years later I got involved with a theater company. They're called Eastern Sky, and we toured Southern California pretty much for like the last 7 years doing this play called The Last Appeal. Oh, wow. And it's about forgiveness and forgiveness of like yourself, but also forgiving others. And it's a pretty emotional thing. It's kind of like The Green Mile meets Shawshank Redemption in a sense, because it's about inmates on death row, how they got there, what they deal with while they're there, and then on their way out, what are some of their like final thoughts and what, regrets and things like that. So it has a very heavy tone, but at the same time, there's a lot of like funny actors and whatnot that
like
we have
yourself,
in scenes. Yeah, well, I'm a jerk in the whole thing, actually.
Okay.
I play a prison guard. I just beat up on people, yell at people, walk them to the chair. Actually, it's a table that we walk them to, but it's really exciting. But not last November, but the November before that, we had an opportunity to film the piece. And for any of the film majors out there, wherever you may be listening from or
our
watching,
film crew right here, a feet away from us.
We were able to get through 108 pages of script in 3 days, and it was at Calvert Studios, which is where 90210 might be before your guys' generation. I don't know, but it's a famous TV show back in the day where that was filmed. So it was kind of neat, just being a little part of like movie history and or TV history and that. And we got the film finished this past January. Got all the edits for the sound and color correction and everything else done. We've been raising money just kind of independently. And we've been to about 7 different film festivals across the U.S., and we've won about 7 or 8 different awards for like Best in Show, Best Ensemble Cast. And there's another one actually in my hometown of, well, I live in Rochester, but upstate New York. It's we have a film festival in Buffalo next weekend that we'll be heading out to. So I'll actually be representing the company out there. So that'll be pretty cool.
That's so awesome. And now for a little bit of reference, our film crew was saying our thesis projects here produced in school take about 3 days, right? That's what you guys are saying. So just kind of like to have a little bit of a reference how yours was made in 3 days, right?
Yeah. So we've been doing the play for, again, like 7 years. So the actors that we have, John Bentley, he's been in the Resident Evil movies and a bunch of other things. Rob Wu, anyone know Family Guy?
Who doesn't?
You know Mr. Washi. You guys know Mr. Washi Washi? He's like the Asian character on there. He's, when Peter goes Street Fighter and like fights the guy. Anyways, he's like the Asian character. He's like on there. Anyways, and then have you guys seen Ted?
Not you,
yeah,
Ted.
So when
clearly
when Flash Gordon punches through the wall, the Asian dude on the other side, that's my friend Rob Wu. He's in this
cool.
film too. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff.
Whoa, the audio crew had a big reaction all of a sudden.
Yeah, so we have a bunch of people that have a lot of different. Oh, and another good friend of mine, her name's Kimberly. She was in the Star Trek, so she's one of the people on the Enterprise deck. When Picard or Kirk gets walked off.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. There's a lot of range of talents and stuff in the company, but everyone knew their marks, knew where they had to go, knew the blocking and whatnot. And we had an awesome production crew led by Mike Pfeiffer, who has done a ton of things in the industry and for TV and film. And between him and our director, we were able to, in about 14 to 18-hour days,
Oh my God.
bang out 108 pages of script. So it's a lot.
And then you were talking about some technical aspects, how you were able to shoot so fast. Can you tell us a little bit more about that so that our film students can,
Yeah. So because it's a play shot as a movie, a lot of we didn't have a lot of complicated shots. Everything was kind of straight on, and then we have our wide shots, and then obviously like we'd punch in. I forget the technical terms for it, but I mean like from shoulders up, chin to forehead, different levels of punching in and whatnot. Some of you guys are smiling at me like, I kind of know what you're talking about. But that's in my next class.
We should have had the film crew here, right? Mic'd
Yeah.
up so they could, jump in.
Jump in, feed me some lines. But they're just smiling at me right now, staring. Close-ups, yeah. But I think there's like 6 1/8 quarter. I don't know. There's like different measurements of punch-ins and punch-outs. That's why I'm not remembering right now. But as far as the technical side, I'm failing right now. But it's good. But yeah, it's an awesome crew. We've been. I mean, they're really like an extension of my family for me because I've known them for the last 7-8 years, and we've been through a lot with different shows. Different people coming up to us and letting us know like how the film really impacted them and that. A lot of people who like had thought about like suicide or thought about just all sorts of like different types of things, like writing us like 2, 3, 4 page letters about how this film really changed their lives, changed their decisions, and took them out of that dark place that they were at. So that's been pretty much one of the greatest things of this film, is seeing the impact on people's lives that it had. And the 27th of August, there's a television station called Daystar, and they're actually going to take the film and run with it and send it across the world. Ooh. So we're going to have our first like worldwide premiere on Daystar TV.
Oh my God!
And then there's a couple of distribution offers that they have, and they're going to be looking at getting it in different languages and stuff too to send it across the world. So we're really excited about that.
Really big deal.
Yeah.
So, for our film students, again, that might be listening to us, how do you think they can get involved in something like this? I mean, I know this project is huge, but, how can they start something like this? Where can they find projects like this to get involved? Or what's your advice for them?
If you're in LA, there's plenty of opportunity, but it's willing to say yes. And in that, too, just knowing what you want to work in, what you feel comfortable with, because there's some, if you're not into comedy, like don't go into comedy. But whatever it is that your kind of genre is in that, I think saying yes to as many different projects as you can, because again, the networking in film is huge. You don't technically need. This is really bad for me to say. You don't technically need a degree. However,
what? No, I'm just kidding. What did Lee say? Director of admissions. No,
but it's a whole lot harder to get into the industry and have the respect and to have the knowledge in that. Because there's about 104 different actors and producers and writers that I work with in just Eastern Sky alone. Not some of the other things that I'm involved with, but a lot of them have been in the industry for 10, 15, 20 years, and it took them a good 5, 10 years to get where they are,
where they wanted to be.
Yeah, and then I know some students out of here that it's been like 2 years, and they're making films, they're pitching projects, they're in different studios and stuff around here. So it's a big difference, the degree, the education, but it's also a lot of hard work and networking and kind of putting yourself out there to do more than what you're asked of. Yeah.
So basically, don't just rely on your education, right? So go further. Yeah. And I think it's very important what you were saying about what this project means to you. So I think also getting involved in work that has a deep meaning. I think that can also make a huge difference, because that shows your passion. When you're just doing something, I think personally, when you're just doing something for the money in it, I don't think you're going to be that successful, because you're not going to have the same drive as when you're doing a project that you really believe in because of what it means or the content of it.
Yeah, with the impact that the play has had, we get gas stipends once in a while, but we don't always get get paid for what we do. But I've been doing it for 8 years. Driving all over like Southern California. We've done different prisons, churches, probation camps, a bunch of different theaters. outside venues, inside venues, no air conditioning. One hot one was we had a 8-foot by 14-foot stage and no wings. I don't know if you guys know theater at all, but we basically had to like press up against each other in a couple of scenes.
Oh wow!
In like behind a little piece of wood, and it was 98 degrees, and we're right in the dead of the sun. So like we come back out, and like our security uniforms are completely wet.
Oh wow!
Sweat. It was gnarly, but it was really awesome though.
It was worth it in the end.
Totally.
And you know, before we end the interview, I think there's also something you said that I feel it's very important. You were saying like the people that you work with were almost like your family. So I think that also speaks to your attitude when you work with someone, right? Because there's a ton of people trying to make it in the industry, but don't you think that sometimes having a good attitude is what's going to make the difference? You know, if they can pick from a million people, but there's this one person who's responsible but also has the right attitude, isn't that like a big, you know, element in that?
It's a huge deal. You know, if you're trying to remember, there's like 3 things, you know, that people usually look for. Like, are you on time? You know, do you do really good work? And then, can I stand you or not? You know, those 3 things. And typically for like to work in the industry, you need one of those 3 things. So if you want to be a jerk, you better be on time and you better have amazing work so they can put up with you. But the easier thing usually is to come in, have a good attitude, be thankful and grateful, I think, more than anything for the work that you're able to do. Because in this industry, there's a lot of people that unfortunately don't have the ability to work. A lot of people that don't have the ability to get training and schooling like you guys are.
That's true.
So that's something to really just remember and be thankful for. Even if things are rough or you don't agree with how certain things are done, you have a lot of opportunity in front of you. And I mean, for me, on the outside, it's always awesome watching you guys like grow and excel and see like where you came in with your cool like stick figure drawings and then leaving with like Finding Nemo. Like, what the heck? How did this happen? It's amazing.
Yeah. So always be on time. Right? Have really good work and be personable. Have a good attitude.
Have a good attitude.
So I think those are 3 things that we can all take, no matter your major, right? So no matter what you're doing, just have those 3 things, and I'm sure it's going to make a difference.
Yeah, a huge difference.
Because it's competitive out there, right? Yeah. All right, Lee. Well, thank you so much for the interview. Is there anything else you want to say before leaving? Thoughts for you?
I don't have a mic to drop. It's on a stand, so not much. I just really appreciate the time with you guys. It was awesome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to go do some reports and
some
fun emails and stuff.
Keep us posted on the project.
I will. I'll let you guys know. Thanks, guys.
We'll be right back.
Thank you, Lee.